Click the links to join the channel here over at subscribe. So I got a mailbox. You want to mail me some comics? By all means. So Rachel Zegler's The Hunger Games performs worse than Brie Larson's The Marvels at Thursday night previews. I thought about seeing this today for the matinee, but it was 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I looked at it, I just don't think I can do that. I just don't have the testicular fortitude for that. So I have to figure out a vaginal related pun title for this. How about Rachel Zegler has a sweeter opening than Brie Larson's giant opening? The thing is, her movie only cost $100 million, and it's not doing well, but Brie Larson's movie was like $300 million plus with the reshoots and the advertising budget. So that's actually going to lose a ton of money, which, you know, we can point and laugh at, but it's like it doesn't stop Hollywood from making these crappy movies. This movie, unless it had a lot of expensive reshoots, if it really only costs $100 million, and it really does not need that much money to cross over into profitability. But it actually doesn't look like it's. I mean, it's kind of hard to judge on like 1 day previews and then half the days. But I'm gonna guess neither one of these movies is gonna cross over. But you know, it's better to lose, $20 million than like Brie Larson's movie is. You know, you might be in a position of losing $100 million or something. Anyway, so this is the dumb See You Next Tuesday who went after Gina Carano because she didn't use those disabled pronouns. It's like all that pronoun stuff, that's just a fad, kids. Like, this isn't a fad, Dad. Yeah, it's a fad. Everyone went through these fads. It's really a dumb fad because the kids today are actually sterilizing themselves. That's a pretty dark Weimar level of fad behavior, where in our days it was, I don't know, like jeans, jackets, or maybe that was a little bit before my day, but piercings and tattoo, whatever. It's not, I mean, it wasn't, we weren't putting our kids on hormone blockers, permanently blocking their growth, and then cross-sex hormones, and then removing their genitals. That's, sometimes I look around at all this, I just can't believe we're at this stage of Sodom and Gomorrah, and not more people are just so placated on the bread and circuses, the sophoric of the those kind of distractions, that they're just really sitting on the couch, and not enough people seem to be concerned about this, because every time somebody, if you're physically fit and you wear a mask and you go to a peaceful assembly to protest this, the right wing will call you feds. Really nothing more frustrating than that. Anyway, so this is she's a dumb twat. Gina Carano and the pronouns, which got fired for Disney. It's like, hey, the Mandalorian, I think, was the one shot for Disney to turn it around, but hey, Disney belongs to the street. You're not going to be able to turn Disney around. They are just riding this ship into the wind. She didn't want to use pronouns, and who's that guy? Pedro Pascal. So there was this weird Rachel Zegler and Gina Carano and Pascal he was using pronouns, and he was trying to explain why they're so important. No, because you're taking part in a fad. You're taking part in somebody's. I hesitate to even call it mental illness, because it's not even real enough to be a mental illness. But those pronouns aren't real, and to validate somebody's false belief system, no, you can't. At some point, it's okay to put your foot down and go, yeah, I'm not going to. Your compelled speech. You're compelling me to lie. I know those are not your pronouns. Pronouns are biologically sex-based. You are what you are. The male pronoun is going to apply to the sex. Anyway, so Gina Carano, she was attacked by this idiot for those for using beep pronouns or something. So the synopsis of this is, you look like just a lot of fun. This was based on the books, and this is the prequel. So far, the movie started in 2012. I think there were 4 movies. I don't think they were like huge mega hits, like not enough to inspire. Because the books were I think hits, but they weren't like everyone's trying to capitalize on the J.K. Rowling type of stuff. I don't think anyone's come close to it yet. So it's a movie series for kids, but the energy has passed. It started in 2012, and it just. The whole thing is so astroturfed. Like, you can tell when Hollywood and the publishing companies are trying to pump oxygen into something, and that's the astroturf phenomenon, where something like Harry Potter was grassroots that caught fire organically. Because when you look at the books, like I've read both these series, and the Harry Potter books were legitimately fun, quick stories. Where the rest of the stuff was just it was made to sell to a market. Or yeah, obviously J.K. Rowling did that too, but she was able to do it more subtly, I guess, so you couldn't tell. Anyway, so the energy has passed for this series. I mean, this is from 2012 was when the first movie came out, so yeah, definitely. But it's also the energy has passed for Hollywood. I mean, people have kind of looking at Hollywood in a whole different way. I mean, a lot has happened since 2012. Disney and DeSantis, and it's, even if the company is not specifically Disney, it kind of affects all of Hollywood. People are looking at Hollywood in a different way and realize like there's some really disturbing messages that they're pushing with focusing on kids. Like Hollywood is a little too fixated on kids, and they don't seem to be wanting to change directions. So the weird thing on social media is to see these soy boy pussies defend Hollywood because they know it's a religious movement to push their own, I was going to say the word for BLT version of communism, but I didn't mean it gay as a pejorative, because globalism actually is a more BLT version of communism, because communism was not very supportive of the gay community. The thing is, like I always say, the diversity in comics, you got to look at why did that guy drive them so crazy? A guy with like 50,000 followers is kind of when he started to blow up. In a car with his cell phone talking about comics. He was funny, but he wasn't genius, at least in his videos. I mean, he was really funny, but it's a small community of people who all want to laugh at the comic books and the comic community. It's like, why did their response to him tells you something else is going on? And there was, because his making fun of the comics was making fun of their identity movement. And these people aren't religious, but this is their religion. The human soul abhors a vacuum. And there's a bunch of theories on this. Like when people give up, you apparently have to have religion even if you're not religious, because you'll fall for anything. Is what happened with a lot of these globalist kids. Is this is their new religion? They the mags of the world. Who's that chick who oh god, Heather Antos types, just mentally ill people who they need a lot of order and structure in their life, and they're not getting it in this current commercial zone NGO country that is formerly known as America. So they fall for this kind of globalist movement, which is the plan for the tall grass theory. Rootless people are easily enslaved. Anyway, so Rachel Zeger has turned out. Diversity in comics. That's why they got so mad at him. Like just the guy. Like they made him a thing, and they made Comicsgate a thing, and they made him a lot of money, and Ethan a lot of money, and everyone involved in Comicsgate, who's like they started it's a tiny little industry, but it's not tiny if you're selling $100,000 books every year. I mean, that's something to be. That's an amazing job to get into. It's like being on YouTube and making comic books. Like, well, the only reason it happened is because the response from these insane globalist SJW nut jobs from one guy sitting in his car making fun of their comic books, because it was making fun of their religion, and that's why you got the response you did. Anyway, so Rachel Zeger turned out to be am I saying what's his name? Myers is Myers the Messiah character in this story? I kind of a little bit, I guess. So Rachel Zeger has turned out to be such a giant twat. They delayed her movie, the Snow White movie. I'll skip that line about a full year until 2025. That's not a show of confidence. I guess they're waiting for her stupid comments to be forgotten, which she and her fellow twat person Gal Gadot teamed up to destroy this European story like the Hollywood rats they are. But they gave interviews and they came across like total a-holes. It seemed like they hated the story. They hated men. I think they hated European people. They definitely. Where did the story originate from? They hated everything about the story. And it was weird because up until that interview, Gal Gadot seemed like she was taking the higher road about behaving more professionally. And honestly, I saw that interview with her and Zeger. It seemed like they were both high as kites, and it was bizarre because I remember when she was doing the Justice League interviews with Ezra Miller, where she seemed calm and adult, and she's sitting next to Ezra Miller, who's just twitching in his seat. He is just blown out of his mind, if you know what I mean. And he's trying to get her to say stuff about feminism. She's just behaving with a certain level of decorum. And that was, 4 years ago when the Justice League came out. And then she does this interview with Zeger, and it both seemed like they were doing lines before the interview. It was freaking bizarre. They were laughing about how much they hated this movie. And you're looking at these people going like, you guys are promoting this movie. You know that. You know you're in this movie, right? Like, you're getting paid to promote this movie, and you're giving this interview where you're just crapping all over the movie and the fans who want to see the original movie, and it has no relation to the original movie whatsoever. It's just in name only. It's just a classic bait and switch. Honestly, they look like they were intoxicated. Anyway, so they seem to hate man in the original story, probably because it was just too white for them. It's like a cross to a vampire for Hollywood to have a European people in a European story. Anyway, so the other thing, I mean, there's a lot going on with Hollywood right now. They're having a rough time. They're not making the trillions they used to make because you had the writer's strike, and then you had the conflict that broke out overseas. And Gal Gadot is on the side, I guess, of deleting kids or something, and she just recently made that propaganda film, so she's a persona non grata now, and I kind of suspect that any movie she's in is going to be absolutely screwed. And even if Snow White comes out in 2025, at this point, I like how, I don't know how far into the movie they are, but I would look at that and any movie with Gal Gadot and I'd go, you know what, probably time to retire her. Anyway, so this stupid prequel movie has Rachel Zegler in it. And people are really tired of Little Miss Rachel Zegler, her weird comments. People really kind of turned on her quick, and she doesn't seem to have any defenders for some reason, because she's okay, it's weird because her whole shtick seems to be, I'm a POC, I'm a WOC, and I'm marginalized, and all this kind of nonsense, right? All this kind of Frankfurt School, Saul Alinsky oppression hierarchy. But, it's like Hollywood picks the fairest people who they call POCs for their to check off the box, like Pedro Pascal, or is that his name? No, whatever his name. The Mandalorian guy is going to be in Fantastic Four, and the rumor is that they picked him because he's a POC. And you look at like Rachel Zegler or Pedro Pascal, whatever his name is, and you're like, so these are your diversity checklists. These are the guys who checked that box, and like, okay, vaguely, I guess. I mean, you can tell there's a little mix in there, but with him more so. I mean, you look at him, you're like, yeah, he's your POC. He's who's checking the non-white box now. I mean, it's it's an interesting threshold because compared to this dude for sure, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's kind of hard to talk about on YouTube. It's like they have this hierarchy, and you're like, yeah, why didn't you go with a character like this for your representation? Like, oh no, we're not going to do that. We're gonna go with someone who sells a little bit better. It's like, when you're in a racism competition and you're competing with Hollywood, you will get blown out. Anyway, so I suspect Hollywood's in deep trouble, and this movie's in deep trouble, and anything with Gal Gadot is, I think, doomed. So this movie did worse than the Marvels. How about just F all of Hollywood? The Marvels, like I said, was a much bigger budget, so, who knows? That movie, I guess, is going to lose over $100 million. And this movie, I don't know, maybe it'll break even if enough people get out there to see it. The thing is, I don't understand is like the 2 hour and 40-minute part. I don't think I can sit through, even a matinee for $10. I don't think I can sit through 2 hours and 40 minutes of this kind of nonsense. And I don't think I've seen any of the 4 other movies. Well, I guess you could see this because it's the prequel and allegedly sets up the other stories. But I mean, like, stories, do stories matter to Hollywood? Anyway, at some point you realize it's all just toxic globalist cancer. I don't see a redemption arc for Hollywood. But if you want me to see a movie and do a review on it, you can buy the tickets on Subscribe/Cashapp, buy me a coffee, and I will go see that movie and give you a well thought out, articulate, and cogent review, just like this video was. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.